Hey guys, this is Chesney Hawks here. You are watching My Hammers 11 with the one and only Russ.
Hi everybody, Russ from My Hammers 11. Hope you're all safe and well. If you can, please do subscribing, hitting the bell icon, all that type of stuff. Like saying Untuck It, our channel sponsors. I'm just rushing through it because I've got today a guest. He's been very heavily requested, and we couldn't get him, so we got Dailly. His YouTube channel, we're getting the subscribers up. He's always on Jake's channel. He talks a lot of sense, this man. It's Daya. How are you doing, big man?
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. Less of the big. Unless you're talking about my belly here.
Well, as we said, we don't know what's happening under the table, do we, Steve? Really?
Yeah, no, it's true, mate.
Yeah. The lockdown body I'd hoped for hasn't sufficed. Let's be honest.
Oh, no, I'd locked on. My main lockdown was in Spain, which was a lot tougher, mate. Then when I got back to the UK, and then obviously another lockdown, I realised how easy it was over here. To be honest, Spain was torture, mate. Honestly, all you done was eat and drink. That was it.
This sounds like absolute torture, Steve.
No, it was, mate. The trouble was, right? Our rules were you weren't allowed out. Simple as that, unless you walk the dog, right? So you get out the dog in the morning, but within 2 days they brought a rule in. You could only walk your dog 100 metres. Well, my bloody dog could do 100 metres in about 2 seconds. Do you know what I mean? So that was that. Then, so your highlight was to go. The two places as well you were allowed to go was, believe it or not, the tobacco shop, right, and your nearest shop. So you weren't allowed to select which supermarket you wanted to go to. Yeah. You had to go to your nearest one. No matter how expensive it was, you had to go to that one. Well, but our apartment in Fengarola is I come out the block of the apartment, straight across the zebra crossing, there's the shop, right? So, and honestly, mate, you go to the shop and they check your shopping receipts and all sorts, and then you got a shop going for, oh, there goes the till, that's all right, keep the money going, keep talking. But they go up to the I thought, well, I'm going to buy some vape juice, I'd given up vaping, and I thought, I'm not going back on the fags. And the ironic thing was, we were in what was it, March, wasn't it? And I said to the missus, I said, it's not a worry, go out on the terrace, I'm just going to get the biggest suntan I've ever had, right? And it pissed down for the first 6 weeks, And so we had the worst weather. We're watching you lot at home, sat out in your gardens with all the sun. I thought, doing something wrong here. But yeah, going up there, so I'm going to go vaping. I take the stress away. And going up to get some vapes. So I thought I'd take the dog with me as well. Might as well get the dog out. And you weren't allowed to walk with your missus or anything like that. So we pretended we didn't know each other, right? So I'd go 100 metres in front of her and she'd walk with the dog up the other way. And this Spanish cop come out and he goes, where you going? I said, fag shop. No, home. I said, no, fume. He went, home, gun, like that. That was him. But the ironic thing was, I said to my missus, I said, right, if I pass you, right, because we don't know each other, of course, get up the fag shop and get me some vape juice. And he didn't do anything about it. So there we go, mate. So,
just communicating via semaphores or smoke signals.
Yeah, but it was a tough one, mate. It was a tough one over there.
It is. Yeah, I know a lot of people who obviously, particularly like even in like Dubai and stuff like that, it's the same. It's literally, particularly if they're in the high rises as well, they couldn't go out at all. And yeah, I mean, it was, all we had to do was just, keep an eye out for bog roll, really. In all honesty, wasn't it? Anytime I saw a bit, we didn't stockpile it, but if I was in the co-op and there was a 6-pack of, I'd pick it up. I think people now realise how much bog roll they don't use. Some people must still be the guys who went to Costco or whatever and got the crates. They must still be shitting on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Crazy. But West Ham kept us entertained, though, didn't they?
They did, mate. They did.
And that's the main thing. That's a typical thing, isn't it?
West Ham always keep you entertained.
For the right
whether it's good or bad, it's always entertaining, isn't it?
So true. When the world was collapsing and civilization was completely different, West Ham had one of the best seasons they've ever had in modern history.
Yeah.
The one thing you have to worry about, which was quite nice. And now obviously everything's sort of opening up a little bit now. We're all panicking now. So,
well, the panic stations are back in now, mate. Finish 6. Here comes the crash. No signings. We haven't bought nobody.
No.
Takeovers, so-called takeovers, are they true? It's a typical pre-season, isn't it now?
It is.
It's
a
final bit
pre-season
for West Ham fans. And we don't have... The trouble is, you obviously talk to all the lads and fans and whatever, and everybody, because we've done such shocking transfer windows in the past, we panic more than ever, don't we? You know? But we'll see what happens, mate.
We'll see what happens, and it is what it is. Guys, we've been through worse, a lot worse, haven't we, in recent history? You know, I mean, it's one of those things that I would like 2 seasons in a row where we do all right.
Yeah, that'd be nice, mate.
You know what I mean? So I was looking at it.
I can't ever recall one.
No.
We could be making history.
Exactly, 2 seasons in a row where we did all right, because it always it's like a 5-year cycle. So obviously after last season, the decent season after that would have been the last season at the Bowling. After that, probably maybe the season maybe the promotion season. After that, probably the FA Cup season. It's literally every 5 years. It's like the Olympics, a decent West Ham season. So I don't mind, just an overflow and getting.
That'd be great, season. Mate. That means Champions League football this season.
Well, if you listen to Peach, we're winning the league, mate.
Yeah, Peach. Yeah.
Bless Peach.
That's when he's not in the nick.
Yeah. I love Peach, and that's the thing. The weird thing about sort of lockdown and everything is like, these sort of characters now. It's weird. Although we've never, this show, for example. I've been doing it for 15, since lockdown 1.0. So was it? I don't know, 15 months, 16 months ago.
Yeah.
And I've interviewed 400 people, something like that. I've probably met 2 of them.
Yeah. Now it's weird,
face to face. It's really weird.
That's what happened with me, mate. I was in Spain, obviously locked in the apartment. And I got a mate over there. He's back in the UK at the moment. He's legged it like I have to get away from the hassle over there at the minute. Right? But he lived down Marbella, about 20 minutes down the coast. And he said he rang me up anyway, and he said his work was recruitment. And he used to work for me, actually, but he's bloody hopeless. And he's bound to watch this, right? So he rang me up and he said, I'm going to YouTube, Daya, YouTube. I said, what about YouTube? No, I don't ever watch YouTube. If I wanted to look up something that was actually happened, like say a car crash or something, did you see that smash in Formula 1? I went, nah, I hadn't seen it. I'll go on YouTube and watch it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Very, very, but of music on, watch a couple of gigs or something.
Yeah.
I was never a big YouTube. I didn't even know you could go on YouTube live. Do you know what I mean? Never heard of it. Anyway, he said, no, I'm going to start a football show. And I've always called, his name's Brownie, he runs football with Brownie. And he's worked with me about 3 times, right? And I've always called him Captain Chaos. Fucking hell, Airbrain. He always comes up with these airbrain schemes as well, And so I said, no, Brownie, what's all that about then? No. He said, it's good. I'm going to call it Football with Brownie. Right? I said, what fucking hell are you on about? Anyway, before I start, I'm going to do a quiz tonight with some Arsenal fans. I said, all right. He said, do you want to come on? I said, yeah, I'll come on. So I said, how do I do it? He said, you just got to click this link. Oh, and that's it. You're on YouTube. He said, yeah. So anyway, he done a quiz. Then he started his football show. And it was so hilarious through the lockdown and that. And it's just passed the time,
It was. It does, yeah.
And so then I realised that YouTube was live and all that. And then, anyway, time went on. And I just watched Brownie now and again, but he waffled on a bit. So there's always bloody Cardiff City that didn't interest me. So, my mate got hold of me on Facebook. He said, oh, you're a West Ham fan, Dale. I said, yeah. He said, can you help my mate help his son launch a show? What's what you on about? He said, well, these football shows on YouTube. I thought, oh, not YouTube again. Oh, West Ham one, I thought. Right, this would be a bit better than Brownies. And no disrespect, Brownie. And then he said, oh, he's only 13. Oh, no, what am I getting involved in it? Kids' show now. But then I watched Jake's show and I thought, hey, this kid's good. And that got addictive. And the next thing I know, he said, start your own show, Daya. Start your own show. You've been on mine. People want your own show. Don't be silly, Jake. Come on, I'm nearly fucking 55 now. And he said, no, I'll get the gear for you. So I've got a microphone, I've got a green screen, and now I've got into it, and I really enjoy doing it. And I'll tell you what, the beauty of what I enjoy out of it is it's just as good as going down the pub.
Exactly.
And I tell you, in fact, it's better. When we used to go down the pub years ago, you went down the pub for a good bit of banter. But you can't have banter in these commercial pubs these days. You'll get slung out for upsetting somebody, or it's too right wing, or it's too left wing, or whatever. The pubs in my day, they were. I say, I'm not that old. I'm only 50, coming up 55. But pubs were where you went down for your banter and your conversation. You don't get that now. People have a meal and they have a little chat. The old pubs used to be great. And I'll tell you what, I've hardly been to them. My missus loves this YouTube. I'm saving a fortune. She's chopping me up on pints for 89p instead of £5.
Yeah. Well, it's just, I mean, you're totally right, honestly. And for me, it was like, when I started doing it, it was like almost like I felt like I did it for myself, really, like mental well-being, because it was like you're trapped in. I'd had enough of watching, I don't know, whatever Australian reality TV show the wife is watching.
Any channel that you can find.
Oh, God, like, Married at First Sight or whatever she used to watch it. And I had enough of it. So, it was a good excuse to come down and talk about football. And particularly the first bit, because there was no football for no Premier League for 100 days or something like that. And everyone I contacted people, I'll talk about, they were clucking to talk about football because they were missing it so much.
Yeah.
And it's almost been like, particularly West Ham, I've seen it almost seem like a full reset. So like, so if we went back to not last season, the season before, okay, we're doing actually last season, the beginning of last season, it was very similar to how it's sort of panning at the moment. Hadn't signed anyone. We sold Grady Diangana. Everyone was like, not like, I was interviewing people. They were like, oh, well, West Ham is a bit like a game. It's like a chore. And I don't, it felt like a bit of a chore going to London Stadium and Now, towards like the end of last season, like in the close season, people are clucking to get back to West Ham.
That's right, mate.
And so it's like a like a full reset on your computer. It's running a bit slow. So, but yeah, I know, and it's great fun, isn't it? It's so easy. That's why I mean, like you see Jake, you got the full Tremaians boys, two.
Well, you just clock on, you go in live, and everybody polls in, and you have a good old bit of a chinwag, bit of banter.
And even if
that's why I called me show the day's banter, because that's what it is, banter. We have a bit of banter and a bit of fun and a bit of laugh. Don't take life too serious, and it's good fun, mate. It's good. But hey, I'm in my third week now, mate. I'm a true professional now. I'm in my third week,
and you've almost hit 1,000 views on your last video, thanks to Sean.
Well, the most I've had shows views 2,500. I had one. I enjoy doing them watch-alongs with little Jakey.
Love it, Daniel. They're good.
I
mean, that's a phenomenon that's sort of come out of nowhere, really, is the watch along, isn't it? It's like, you think about it contextually, it's a bit similar to the whole premise of Gogglebox. You're watching people watching TV. Here, you're watching people watching a football match. It's the same thing.
It's like when you're at the football, though, you usually sat next to the same bloke in you every game, and you do, well, do you see what happened here? What, I don't know about that. And you have your conversation during the game.
Yeah,
and I think people have missed that as well. And I think commentary on the TV now is a bit too. I don't know. It's not like it used to be. It's I don't know. It's just a bit plastic, really. I suppose they all use the same phrases, don't they, and so forth. And I mean, you got a couple of fans doing it. It's quite good fun. I watch all sorts of games now. I'm catching up on your shows actually because I've never heard of yours. And no disrespect, Russ.
Unbelievable!
If I was never a YouTuber, was I? Only 2 weeks ago or whatever. But then Jakey said, Russ wants you to pop on. I said, oh, great. Let me have a look at his show then.
Yeah.
He said, well, you have to pick 11 players, blah, blah, blah. I said, I'm addicted to that now. So I'm sat in the office. I got Sky Sports on there, work on that computer. Here I am watching people pick their teams. It's bloody brilliant.
Yeah. It's funny, isn't it? It's funny. Yeah, it's as I said before we started as a little idea, little project, and it just went like absolutely crazy.
Yeah, it's brilliant, mate. Brilliant. But
fun.
It's good insight as well into you get your old heroes on from when you were a
Yeah.
kid and all sorts, don't
Exactly.
you? Think, oh, yeah.
And even for me, it's been sort of cathartic. That's quite a long word to use, but it has, because like obviously I started supporting West Ham. Like my first game was like 92, 93 season. So the season we went up,
Just a youngster then, Russ.
I was a glory hunter. The glory years of Pete Butler, and so obviously before then I know of that period, like obviously the boys of 86, 80s, 65 boys, all that sort of, I know of it, but obviously interviewing fans who have been there, players, like Stag and people like that as well, who were there, you sort of are living through it. So it's improved my awareness of West Ham.
Yeah. No, I get that, mate. I get that.
So yeah, it's particularly for someone, considering I've worked at the club for 21 years. This is my 21st season coming up now. It's like I still, there's a lot of sort of gaps in my knowledge. So I was sort of learning on the job. But it's great, particularly the nicknames. I remember, I think we interviewed Dailly, so we interviewed Reg. And Reg basically picked his 11, but he just kept on just giving the nicknames.
Yeah,
didn't know who they were, so he said Stretch, and I went, okay, Harry Martin, yeah, and
Yeah.
the robot, and like the machine. No, he called Chin Baker the machine, and sort of all these little things which most people assume but you don't. But no, it's good fun, man. I love it. I do love it. It's great fun, and as you said, people are really, really generous with their time. And as you said, even if no one watched it, if you're having a chat,
it's a bit of fun, isn't it? It's just a bit of banter, a bit of fun. But I find it as good as going down the pub. It's like go down the pub, wherever you are in the world, walk in and talk to West Ham. Do you know what I mean? We all like to talk West Ham, don't we? So, like, you walk in, but now you get my missus loves it. She's topping me up with Banks's mild 89p on offer in Tesco's. She said we're saving a fortune. You going on a YouTube show?
And then when you get to 1,000 subs, and the old money will roll in.
Oh dear,
anything. I know it's good though. It's good fun, as you said. It does say. That was the whole concept I was trying to do. Like, like the whole Miami's 11, it's like, I assume like two blokes in a pub with a beer mat writing out their dream team. I'm going to put Brook in here and and I'll put it on. And no, it's good fun, man. So, right. West Ham, Steve. I'm not detecting a Cockney accent.
No, I moved. Well, I was born in Tudor Road, mate. Tudor Road, I was born just feet from the ground, you could call it, really. But my old man was in the Navy, so when I was about 8 or 9, he got transferred to RNAS Yeovilton in Somerset. So he was in the Fleet Air Arm, aircraft carriers and all that sort of stuff with the airplanes and whatever. So we moved to Somerset, mate, when I was about 8 or 9.
Wow. And so because obviously Tudor Road, your old man, is that why? That's why he's West Ham.
Well, you're born into it. Then my gran lived there as well. Do you know what I mean? So, and then my dad, obviously, and obviously my mother. She wasn't actually a West Ham fan. She come from St Albans, but we ended up living in it. They got married and we lived in the East End of London, whatever. And so, it was good. Primary school was great fun. Do you know what I mean? Living around Priory Park, kicking the ball around there, and all that. Had all that sort of experience. And of course, we used to go back and visit my nan, my gran, and my nan actually. So. We'd go back and visit the pair of them. So, it was always felt like home, mate, And my dad was a West Ham fan. His dad was a West Ham fan. My gran was a West Ham fan. So you don't get any choice. No. You don't get any choice anyway. But that's the beauty of West Ham, isn't it? West Ham's always been that way. My son's a West Ham fan now. My grandson's a West Ham fan. I mean, I've got another one due next week. I'm going to assure you he'll be a West Ham fan.
Of course, They
don't get a choice. They don't get a choice.
No, there's the rush, isn't there, to get to the club shop and get the baby grow.
And the trouble is, over my life, I've lived so many different places. I lived in Wales for about 16 years. So if I'm in the West Country, they said, "God, don't you sound Welsh?" I said, "No." Right? Yeah. But if I go different places, they give you, and of course your accent gets very mixed up where you live and whatever. And you do tend to speak, right, where you're living as well. Like, I've got this place here in Somerset. My missus is from Somerset originally. And she's proper. She'd be proper, do you know what I mean? And the more you live with her, the more stronger your accent gets.
Yeah.
When I go back to London, I can talk. I don't sound so West Country, so to speak. And when I go to Wales, my missus reckons my accent changing is like talking to me kids. Because a few of my kids were Welsh. And So she listens to me talk. She said, "Well, I can't understand what you're all on about." I mean, it's weird in accents. Weird.
So true. It's like some of my friends, they move to America and stuff, and they have that English American accent. So they're basically sound English, but there's that American twang, and they talk about, elevator and there's these sort of colloquialisms as well.
Phrases and that.
Yeah, it's like me as well. If I'm talking, it's the same. I mean, it's the same as it is when I'm working. If I'm talking to someone who's a bit posher, then my voice,
same thing,
a bit more RP. If it's or a younger bloke, or the H starts dropping. All right, mate. Yeah. Oh, fuck yeah. There's proper Danny Dyer. That's the thing. I almost, because I used to work a lot in America, and they used to think that I sounded Australian.
That's right. I was just about to say that when I worked in the States. When Australia is, they always nail you for Australia, don't they?
Yeah, don't get it. So then I go totally like dial my Danny Dyer to about 11.
Yeah.
So I never talk like that, but I'm really, really exaggerating just to prove I'm not, an Australian.
Yeah.
But yeah,
no, I've had that loads of times. Australian, being accused of being Australian.
I don't get it.
When you were the lad, you play along with it. Yeah. Years ago, people, I can't remember who it was, but he said, "Oh, you look like Steve Irwin, that bloke who goes swimming with the crocodiles and catching the snakes. Just pretend to be him." That's what we used to, and people used to fall for it.
I love it. And it's always when you go to America that they always know if you know someone. Oh, do you know? I'm from England. Oh, do you know John from Cambridgeshire?
Yeah.
Oh, I saw him. I spoke to him before he left.
Mate.
It's like, are you sure? But they assume like England is like a very, very small. It's the other way around. It's like, as when it like, obviously we have lots of Americans on the show, as you know, because you've spoken to a lot of them as well on Jake's show as well. Like Charlie Boy and Peach, obviously in Canada, and Wally, and some great characters. And it's funny because like you talk over here, I went for a drive. It was like it was a really long drive, like a 2-hour drive, and that's like. That's just going to the shops, isn't it? It's like I never realized how much Americans drive until I started working out there. It's like tens of thousands of miles in a week. It's ridiculous.
What part were you then, Russ?
East Coast.
Yeah.
So I was based in New Jersey. So because I work in market research, so a lot of the research agencies are based in New Jersey, obviously Manhattan, and sort of Philadelphia area. All along that. Loved it. Honestly, loved it. And it was quite cool. The last time we went, it was Flo's birthday. So they came and met me in Manhattan for a week. And we was like, she was swinging on the swings in Central Park with beautiful sunshine going, "Oh, Daddy, I could live here." I was like, I could too. I really like these guys.
Yeah, no, I still enjoy going. Jimmy's Corner. I'm trying to think what street he's on. 54th or 45th, one of the two.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever been there. What a bar that is. That's like going back in the day, mate. You're going in order your shot and it slides down the bar. You can pick it up and all that. Well, but look at that. Jimmy's Corner, big boxing. When we used to do the boxing in Madison Square Gardens and that. Yeah. And all the boxers used to go back because they'd been training for how long before the fight. So that's where they all wanted to go to let off steam, whether they'd won or lost. They'd end up in Jimmy's Corner. And he was a boxing. Well, Jimmy's a boxing trader himself, or was a boxing trader himself.
Yeah,
and he's got all the memorabilia. Anyone who goes to Manhattan, you got to go Jimmy's Corner, mate. It's class.
But I love, it's like I was talking to Charlie Boy the other day, proper Italian American from Brooklyn, and we were just reminiscing about all the great sort of like pizza places in like Brooklyn and stuff. I can't wait to go back. So it's one thing I really miss is like traveling. I do it quite a lot. Not this current job, my previous job, and just going back to the States and stuff. It's great fun. Lots of cool stories as always, isn't it? It's good fun and lots of sport. I'd always pick up. It was always when I went there. It was always the Brooklyn Nets were always at home every time I went out there. The basketball season is ridiculous. We talk about our congested football season. They had like 80 games a regular season. It's absolutely mental.
And you get college football, this football, that football, don't you? I could never get into the swing of it all, to be honest with you. Obviously, I was involved in IndyCar racing at the time. But so I was over in Clearwater in Florida, we were based, but spent a lot of time up in Indianapolis and that. And I could never get into the American sports, I got to be honest. And in them days, we didn't have so much communication like the internet and all that, so it was harder to keep up with what was happening with West Ham and stuff, you know. But no, I could never get into the American sports.
No,
You know,
but baseball's the one that always makes me laugh because we used to. If I wanted to waste 4 or 5 hours, I'd go to a baseball game because it cost like $5 for a ticket, and literally they'd like all sing the national anthem, yada yada yada, first pitch, then they'd all bugger off and they'd all go and have something to eat. This is like my type of sport, Steve. I quite like this sport. Okay, right, I'm done. And like, it just surprised me. Although I did go to watch the MLS a few times. I went to watch the Red Bulls because that was near where I was based. So, although because I had my like West Ham hat on, so like you know, if a West Ham game, I'm there. I have to be about 4 hours before the game, so I'm there really early. And so I looked at the time. The kickoff time was like 4 o'clock. I was there at 12 o'clock. It was just like something inherent in my head to get there early. And I'm walking around, and some bloke with a clipboard was like, "You okay, sir?" And I said, "Yeah." And I sort of explained what I did.
Yeah.
And then I said, "Oh yeah, I'm on a bit of a scouting mission from West Ham. I'm sort of like looking at how MLS do. Oh, come in! I got a free tour all the way around. Beautiful. Got a free scarf, a free hat. Got like I showed him my ticket. No, come here, sir. Like gave me like brilliant. But it's weird. It's weird like watching American football because proper football MLS in America. In that you can have a beer. Like you can watch the game and have a beer. It's like there's a bar literally on the pitch side.
Yeah.
And you have the ultras and stuff. So they score goals and there's fireworks going and
I've never been to an MLS game, mate, but maybe one day.
Maybe one day. Anyway. Let's talk about your 11s, Steve. As I said, and what I like about you, Steve, the whole idea is you've got a theme, and I love it when people have got a theme. What's your theme for your 11?
Well, what I thought, you said about it on the email you dropped me, you said you can pick your own theme, and I thought everybody does their favourite side.
Yeah.
Or they go for who they thought were the best players and stuff like that. And I've only watched a few of your shows, have I? got another how many hundred to get through.
About 400 to get through.
Another 400 to get through. Right?
It's the Netflix.
The players ones, of course, you throw in the players who they played with, right? The fans and who were alive when they watched. So I thought, right, let's do a bit, see what we can do for a little bit of different fame. So my nickname, right, for some people, is Happy Day, because I'm quite a happy going bloke, I'm not one of these miserable buggers. I've never been a negative person. I've always been quite positive, even being a West Ham supporter. But, so I thought, why don't I'll stick to the rules of who made me, who I've actually seen play, right? And also, but how they made me feel happy.
Nice.
And why the reasons they made me feel happy.
Love it. The happy 11. The happy-go-lucky 11.
So I thought about there'd have to be a story behind each player. Yeah. Like if you watch Alan Devonshire, you say, well, I played with him and he was funny in the dressing room and I roomed with him. He's got a story behind each one and so forth.
Yeah.
So I thought I've got a story, I suppose, but behind most of them.
Well,
Steve, totally different angle.
You've got a story about
happy at the time.
You've got a story about everything. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. That's the thing. I watch you and I'm like, even today, I found out you were involved in Indy cars. We had the whole thing, the Cardiff purchasing with Sam Haman.
Done all that.
Oakland furniture,
furniture business, wood businesses. It cost me 2 divorces. Mind all that. 6 kids later, 2 divorces. The wives couldn't keep up with the pace, mate. But
I'm not surprised.
I tried to do. I've had a bit of luck along the line as well, but I always wanted to, because I come from nothing, right? And I always wanted to be, and the Jam had a song, "To be someone must be a wonderful thing."
Yeah.
It goes, "To be someone must be a wonderful thing."
I know it.
A rock star. And I dreamed of being a rock star. I dreamed of being a football player, right? I just wanted to be something, make something, And then, anyway, none of that ever worked out. Right? I was shit at football, right? And then I was good at trading. I was good at with my mouth, really, selling, trading, and whatever. And it sort of built from there, really, Yeah. So, So I crammed it all into the first 55 years. Probably burnt myself out in that 55 years.
Well, then it's the YouTube career that's going to take over. So
well, you never know, mate. You never know. You never know, mate, dear.
So I watched the interview with someone. I think it was like a wrestler, like recently, and he had a really good quote. And he was talking about like why he got into wrestling or whatever. And he said, "I vowed to never wear a tie ever in my life."
I've never worn a tie.
I know, and I thought, what a fantastic. Even if you invite me to a funeral, I'm not going to wear a tie.
I can't say I've never worn one.
I know, but I know. Do you know what I mean? And it was
I know what you mean.
A great sort of like way to sort of sum up why he did a certain things he did, because he never wanted to wear a tie. And it's just
well,
really
I went to a tea party at Buckingham Palace, right? And Prince Philip actually asked me where my tie was.
Unbelievable.
But I researched it before I went, right?
Yeah.
I researched it before I went. And there's a disease you can actually get that affects your skin around your neck. So that was me blag. Right? I said, "Oh, sorry, sir, but I can't wear a tie because of this." So I excuse you, he said. Not everybody had a tie on there. It was only to do with the because we were trading out of Vietnam, and the Vietnam embassy had a tea party at Buckingham Palace, and Prince Philip turned up. But it was good.
I love those random, and that's the great thing. You talk to people, and there's really random. So, like one which stick with me is Charlie Boy. So, Charlie's dad was from Upton Park area. He moved out there in the 80s. I think he had literally moved out in 1980, so he never saw West Ham lift the FA Cup. And him and Charlie, because obviously, as you said, the internet was really rubbish. There was no internet, radio signal. You couldn't get the games on. His uncle, or Charlie's uncle, or is it Charlie's uncle? Yeah, Charlie's uncle was obviously still in East End. So when they were playing away, they would phone him up and listen to the commentary on BBC or Capital or whatever on the phone. Cross-Atlantic call must have cost them an absolute packet, but stuff like that, you hear all these stories. It's just lovely.
Yeah, that cost me a fortune. Everyone used to think I was making a fortune. I worked for Paul Newman, right? Paul Newman, the old actor, and Carl Haas, our race team is out in IndyCar, was Newman Haas, right? But if you remember, and don't get me wrong, the money was good, but it all went on fucking club call. Bring it back to the UK. Because you remember you had to dial up club call, didn't you? Get the tape recordings of Harry Redknapp's doing this, or Lou Macari's coming in, or this is going on. That's cost me a bloody fortune.
Oh dear! And obviously, Haas obviously dipped their toe in F1, didn't they, recently? So
yeah, they're in F1 now. Yeah, this was Carl Haas. This is all the same family.
Same family.
Yeah, same family. The truck company out in the States, Haas. Thousands of you pass them, didn't you? But he's a good bloke. Carl had big, massive cigars. I say smoke. He never smoked them. He never lit them up. He had these
status.
Massively just chew them all through the race.
Bing. Anyway, who's in goal for the Happy 11?
Right. Well, it has to be only one for me, mate. Right? Because of my name, and I made a few quid off him having the same name, Mervyn Day.
Oh. Good old Merv the Swerve.
Yeah, Mervyn Day. And I tell her a little couple of stories. What makes me I was a kid then when Uncle Merv, as I used to call him, was in goal. But what we used to do, there was a couple of the first happy memory is obviously the 1975 Cup final, right? Yeah. And if you remember the Cup final in them days, you probably weren't born then, but
no.
The Cup final in them days was the week build-up. It was brilliant. Yeah. And when West Ham were in the Cup final, the week build-up was fantastic, right? And it got to the Friday, and me and my old man going to the game, the tickets are sorted and everything. And it's on the Friday night, my dad's gone down the pub. And I'm watching, as a kid, you're glued to it, right? And Peter Mellor come on, right? He was being interviewed because obviously he was the goalkeeper for Fulham.
Yeah.
And I can't remember who was interviewing, but he said, "Yeah, we're going to win. We're going to do this. We do that." Remember, I'm only a young kid at the time, and he says the super glue had just come out. Remember them days? Goalkeepers didn't wear gloves, right?
Yeah.
And he said the ball's going to stick to me. He said, "I've gone and got that." And of course, he's having a Jesse with the comment, but I'm taking it all in like a mug. Seriously, so I'm going to super glue me hands before the game, right? And the ball will stick, right? And so sorry, the bloody phone's bloody Brown. Get off, Brown. I'm on a show. And so anyway, so my dad comes home from the pub. I'm in panic mode, right? And he says, "What's the matter, Nipper?" I said, they're cheating. Fulham are cheating. We're not going to win, Dad. We're not going to win. What do you mean? He said, I said, Peter Mellor's been on the telly. He's putting super glue. Someone needs to report this, Dad. You can't do that in a cup final. Right? Anyway. Then, so obviously, come the game anyway. Mellor dropped it, didn't he? And we scored. And it was my first ever cup final at West Ham. So it was great, mate. It was great. And so that was part. And the other thing, I used to make a few quid having the same name as Mervyn Day. Right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember the spot the ball Vernon's pools coupons.
My
mother used to do the pools round, right? Collecting all the coupons. So we used to have loads of spares, right? So I used to get my old man to sign them, right, as Mervyn Day, right? So when I went to go to school, I was going to flog them. I'll swap them for bags of crisps. Do you want Mervyn Day's autograph? I had a pile of them. My dad had signed them, really. So, yeah, so that was Mervyn Day. But me and my dad had so many laughs over Mervyn Day as well, because we never thought. My dad always used to say, he can't catch the ball. Yeah. And if you ever watch his tapes of him, he always palmed the ball out. I know they do it more these days, but he was one of the first who palmed the ball out more. And my dad would be going, catch it, you know. But yeah, so Mervyn Day, mate, I gone for that one. 1975 Cup final, very happy memories. And me little few quid off his autograph on the Vernon's Falls coupons.
Always helps. I think it happened to me once because mistaken identity. I remember I was out with my wife and her friend in London at some not swanky bar, but some sort of bar in New Oxford Street. And Alan Hansen walked past and tapped me on the shoulder and went, "How you doing?" I went, "I'm very well, thank you." And then walked off, and then they turned around and went, "Who the fuck do you know?" I said, "I have no idea." He must have been someone completely else. I have no idea. But no, it's all good. I love it. Right, okay. He's in goal. Let's go into defence then. Who's your first defender?
Right, what do you want to start? Left or right back?
Left back.
Left back has to be Julian Dicks. I think everybody picks him. Not everybody, but he always made me happy. One, I always liked a hard player anyway. I always thought he spiced the game up a bit. But there's also, I had him down. I got on quite well with Dixie, and I had him down. I was running an under-12 team in, I think we were under-12 at the time in Cardiff, or just outside Cardiff, a place called Cowbridge. And we were doing all right, actually. And I said to Dixie, maybe I don't know if you remember Dixie was doing a bit of coaching with the kids and whatever. So I said, come on down to Wales. We're going to have a few beers, right? And you can coach the kids, right? And he said, yeah, I'll come down. And at the time, he was doing his, we tied it up with him doing his FA badges. But a lot of players, you see, used to come to the FAW in Wales to do them.
Yes.
Rather than the FA in England, because it's a lot quicker to get on the course and get through the system and all the rest of it. So we tied it up with that. And then, of course, these kids of mine, they were quite good. We won the local league. But in the end, they never heard of Julian Dicks. My son was born, he had his Terminator T-shirt and all the rest of it. Right? And but I said, so I was at the training. I said, right, lad, as I said, and they were quite chopsy little kids, as kids out of that age. Right? He got me out on training and they're all bantering and whatever. Yeah. I said, we got a West Ham player come down to train you next week, right? Oh, right, who's that then? Who's that? I said, Julian Dicks. And he went, who's that? Who's that? I said, if you haven't heard, get on YouTube. I did use YouTube that time. Get on YouTube and watch the videos, right? You know, it's him. So come training now. So anyway, Dixie comes down. We go out the first night, have a few beers, training the next afternoon, whatever. And the kids will start turning up. And I've never seen them so quiet. They were like little sheep, right? And I was, what's going on? That's this is Dixie. Dixie's going to...
I love it.
And I said, what's the matter? And they were just shit scared, mate. It was like a monster had turned up. Yeah. But and he was trying to cover, don't be worried. He was saying, don't believe everything you've heard about me or what you've seen. I'm not always like that. And it took them a whole training session to come round. And it's probably not, it doesn't sound that funny, but it was funny if you were there. And me and Dixie just
I know what you mean.
I got, and I've just had some fun with him over the years, mate. of Jess's his daughter. We've had a few brandy and oranges together with Julian. Obviously, I won't chat his daughter up or nothing. And then I made his grandson a toy box through one of my furniture businesses. We made him a teddy toy box and that. No, but he's just a great bloke. And as a player, what else can you say? Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, so for left back, I've gone Dixie, mate.
Nice. Yeah, I agree. Top man. So, he's, as you said, totally different off the pitch than he is on the pitch.
Yeah.
Just such a quiet man. Lovely guy. Although when I interviewed him, he had just been sacked from West Brom. And I asked him the question, what's it like to be sacked? And he went, well, Russ, at the moment, I'm in my flat in Birmingham, boxing it all up.
I've watched that one. That's one of the ones. I'll tell a lie. I'm halfway through it. He was in his pad, wasn't he? Doesn't matter. Go.
But he'd had a few because he was
on the whiskey. He was on the whiskey at the time. I noticed him out because he loves his whiskey.
He does.
And he loves his cigars. That's his two loves, apart from his family and that. His two loves, whiskey and cigars,
Oh, I love him. Right. Okay, we'll put Julian left back. Let's go right back then, Steve. Who are we going to have?
It has to be, for me, Ray Stewart, mate. Right?
Yeah,
old Chonker. And mainly, I love watching him play. Obviously, I've had a season ticket for years. Just love watching him play. Yeah. And but the 81 League Cup final made me happy after he equalised on that final penalty. Such relief, really. Yeah. Such relief, because we've been robbed by Clive the Book Thomas, the ref, right? Who, funny enough, years later I caught up with. I sold him some furniture. I'll tell you about that in a minute. But anyway, as you remember, Sammy Lee was offside by miles. He gave the goal. We were about to lose the League Cup final, and we get a last-minute penalty, and Ray Stewart had to take the penalty. And the relief when that, but you knew he was going to score. But the time Ray Stewart misses? It'd be typical West Ham. Do you know what I mean? But it wasn't. It wanted to be, and he banged it in the back of the net, and he brought me so much relief that day. That Saturday night wasn't ruined. Put it that way. So but I did actually. Clive Thomas, they used to call him Clive the Book, was the ref. He was a Welsh ref.
Yeah.
And anyway, when he was retired, he'd done some all sorts of things in football. He did this. I think Brazil were playing. He disqualified a goal from a corner and blew up
just at the end when they
blew up just before the ball went in and all that sort of stuff. But years later, he come down to one of my stores in Cardiff, and I was in there at the time, and I was in behind the office sales desk. And I look, that's bloody Clive Thomas, a bastard. I want to work with him. And I poked a bit of fun, and he was all right, actually. He was quite an authority. What would you call it? An authoritative bloke. He was quite stern, but he was a big golfer then at Royal Porthcawl Golf Club. But I think he passed away the other year, actually. But he wasn't a bad bloke, but he was an awful referee. So Ray Stewart he made me that happy that day, mate, and his other performances as well. I thought he gave it all, didn't he? He was another player who give it everything, you know.
It's not hard to be a West Ham, to be like loved by West Ham fans, isn't it? It's just you just got to give it all, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like, even if you're not like the most skillful player, or or you're out of your depth or whatever, it's not your fault that someone's put you in that position. But as long as you try, and we can see you try, then that's sort of all right, isn't it? So you talk about people not understanding. Ray Stewart can't stand a bloody word he calls me, bless him. But I love him. Right, okay, nice. Dicks and Tonks. First centre half then, who we have him?
Right, I'm going to go. Right, I don't think somebody's bound to have picked him somewhere, but I haven't got through your 450 shows yet. I'm actually going for Christian Dailly.
Oh, the love of my life.
Yeah, and for the song. I'll tell you what, going to West Ham, and that song just makes me feel bloody happy.
Yeah.
About shagging, you can shag me wife and all that, right? Brilliant, brilliant. And then, and my son, he's never even seen Christian Dailly playing. The last 20 years of my life, I've shared watching West Ham with my son. He's 22 now, so
brilliant.
And I think that's great when you go to football with your lad and that. And I taught him the song when he was about 2, and his mother wasn't impressed. He's gone about shagging wives and stuff. But it just makes me laugh. And every football game I've ever been to with my lad, or the song's been sung, or when I used to go and Dailly was playing, I just loved that song, mate. And he had the hair. Do you know what? I've always wanted to be a rock star, right?
Yeah.
And I could never grow the fucking hair, right? So he had a good hairdo, right? And if I grow my hair, and I'll show you a photo later of me with Nigel Mansell in 92. Was it 92? And I'm trying to grow my hair. I look like the Air Bear Bunch. It's all come out here.
It's so true. There's something special about, when it's like with Flo at the moment. She's 9 and she says, and I said, oh, you can start going, because obviously at the home game, she can't really come with me because I'm in the box and it's got, but I said, we can start going away, Flo. She went, oh, what does that involve? So I was explaining it to her and then you go, okay. And I said, then, you're allowed to swear as well. She went, when can we go? When's the first game?
Yeah.
And I remember my brother, we took one of his mates and it was his first game and he was a bit sort of like new to it all. And obviously everyone tried, I think the referee. And then the crowd dropped and Matt was his name. He shouted out, wake up. But basically everyone had stopped.
Yes,
and everyone had turned and looked at him and just went completely red. Oh, I love it. But that's the fun of football. That's what we miss. That's what we've missed. Yeah, we can watch it on TV. We've probably got a better view than a lot of people have got from their season tickets on TV. But it's not that. It is, as you said, it's about the family. It's about the
crack
behind you.
It's the crack, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Win or lose on the booze, isn't it?
That's it, mate. That's it. Yeah.
You usually lose. Right, okay. Christian Dailly, love of my life, I put him in, and I always remember that the playoff, the first one we lost, the 03-04, whenever it was, and we'd beaten Ipswich, and then we'd given him the mic, and he did this sort of like Braveheart address the crowd, like we were going to Cardiff, and book your limos, bring it. We're gonna win. We lost, but we're gonna win. He's like, yeah. To you, like Braveheart, but I love him. Right, okay. Christian's in. Who's he going to partner?
Right, Billy Bonds, mate. Has to be
Billy
Bonzo. But for a different reason, though, right? I always wanted to play like Billy Bonds as a school kid, right? So the first thing I'd done, thought would be clever, not wear any shin pads and roll me socks round my ankles, right? And I got clattered. Absolutely clattered. It's the only time I ever wore my shin pads. Right? Fucking hurts. Right? I had about 4 weeks off right, for this injury to my shin. And it just makes me laugh. But I'm a lovely fella. Met him twice, I think I've met him actually. And he was such a gracious man, but what a hero for West Ham. And he just admired watching him play. And he made me happy watching him play every time I seen him play again. So, yeah, there's so many words you could use for that man, isn't there? Very reserved man. I think he lives up Suffolk Way now, doesn't he?
He does, yeah.
Lives up Suffolk Way and whatever, and love him to death, mate. Love him to death.
Famously, never had a mobile phone.
Yeah, no, I know. He borrows his daughters to make phone calls, doesn't he?
He does, because obviously, I remember the last game of the season, last game at Bowling. Obviously, there was all the trouble, and he didn't turn up because of because again he's a family man first and foremost, and so he's in the car. So turned and came back, and then we had like a taxi outside, and then Julian didn't want to do it either, so we had like 2 taxis. You're like, who the fuck are going to put these taxis? But and obviously getting the stand named after him and all that stuff. I mean, that was a thing because you saw how much it meant to him, and for someone, as you said, he was so reserved.
Well, when he had the stand named after him, I was in the players' bar. And he came in early in the bar. He didn't have a drink or nothing. Just with his calm, normal voice. And more for me son, really, because when my lad was like 2, 3, 4, we're playing football out the back garden and getting into it. Or, of course, although all these modern day players, for some reason, I don't know what I was doing. I was like reciting all the old boys, Devonshire, Bonzi, Bonza, and playing them. And he's going, who are they then? And I was teaching him the history of the club, why we were kicking a ball about. And I just think West Ham is Billy Bonds. Oh, obviously Bobby Moore as well, but Billy Bonds, just for my era, Bonds was West Ham. I was fortunate enough to see Bobby Moore play. Very, very young age. I can vaguely remember it. And I remember well, no, not vaguely, but he was more Fulham. As I got a little bit older, he'd gone to Fulham and whatever. So I watched Bobby Moore's car once or twice, actually. Twice. He gives a quid. when they used to train outside Upton Park because we'd go around and wash the players' cars and that. But yeah, but Bonzo, great. And then and just the stories Dixie's told me about him. Do you know what I mean? And how they squared up once and they're going to have a full fist fight in the dressing room and things like that. And brilliant, mate, brilliant. And he just sounds a character in the dressing room, character as a manager, and he's a lovely bloke in real life. Yeah. And he just watch him run out with them socks rolled down around his ankle.
Such like, you know, that we had. I think we interviewed Matt Lorenzo, and his dad used to do a lot of the commentary and interviews. And obviously, he'd go along as a kid, and they'd always try and get Bonzo, but literally, he would go in, he'd shower very, very quickly, and he'd always take a 4-pack from the fridge, and then get in the car, go back home.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It's just such a family man.
Yeah.
Being in front of the camera, and that's what I thought was so amazing when he sort of did the whole sort of stadium, you know, stand announcement and revealed it. Was I remember him on top of the West Stand in 92, 93. We'd just been promoted. It was excited, but there was no, you know, he wasn't crying or anything. To see him literally sob, you know,
amazing,
2 Eyes of Blue. It was so like, wow, it's how much it meant to him. Long overdue, but it's done. You know, it's done now, so it's good, man. Right, Bonzo's in midfield.
Right, we got to go. We go back to the left. We go back to the left. This man to me was what the younger fans have. They have. Who should we say? Gaza.
Yeah.
From that generation. Now they have. I suppose they say. I suppose they don't shout Grealish. I suppose now and people like that and Ronaldo and Messi. I had Devonshire. He was my out and out hero, right? And to watch that man on that football was just, honestly, it makes me emotional now to think of how skillful and how wonderful, and the way he used to swerve and his passes. I just wanted to be Alan Devonshire, and he had it all, didn't he? You know, he's bald now, but all that flowing black hair. I wanted that. My rock star look would have done with that, Russ. He was a rock star hairstyle with wands as feet. They weren't feet, they were wands, weren't they? Yeah. Magical wands. And how he never, and his whole story of how he come from the Hoover factory, I just think is fantastic, right? Yeah. And I've met, without being big-headed, right, all sorts of people through my life, doing me businesses and whatever, and blah, 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 right? But when I met Alan Devonshire for the first time in the car park at Upton Park, I fucking froze. Right? I absolutely froze. I was tongue-tied. I was starstruck. I was gobsmacked. Is it? You're just parking your cars up. And it's Alan Devonshire. Right? My son was going, "Oh, Dad, it's Alan Devonshire." And he was about 10. I know. And then I think my son spoke to him more than I did. I just stood there gibbering. And it was, he just epitomised everything about. And now, as I'm older, he's still a hero because he epitomises everything what a football player used to be, mate.
Yeah.
And when I watched, he was the first one of you 11. As soon as I saw you done this show, I went on and what does Bev have? Right? And I agreed. I found myself watching the video, and he said, "Well, it's maybe because I'm an old fart now," or something. He says, but no, he's got exactly the same opinions as I have. Yeah, the same. And it's quite funny actually because you listen to. He says people complicate the game. He said 4-4-2. You still play it now, right?
Yeah.
But that's what Julian Dicks said when he came down to do the training. Right? Yeah. They all say it. All the old guys.
They all say it.
But he was just Russ. I had posters of him in my bedroom. I had everything, mate. He was and he still is my hero. Do you know what I mean?
And I think there's a certain era of player that still is akin to a lot of people. I mean, I remember interviewing Julian, and I said the same thing. You know, a lot of people I know, including me, he was my idol. So it's like I said to him, "What's it like knowing that you're people's idol?" I'm not being big-headed, Jill, but you know, you're my idol. I know lots of players. When I said you were coming on, I loved you. He was like my player. He went, "Russ, for everyone that loves you, there's another one who fucking hates you."
Yeah, that's true.
And I totally get that, but it must be like, and you know, and I think there's a reason. There's a reason why.
When you're in the bubble, you're in the bubble, or you're outside the bubble, aren't you? When you're in the bubble, they all love you because you're all in that same West Ham community, so to speak,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But if you come out the bubble, if you go to probably Liverpool, they probably loads of people say, "I bloody shit that Dicks when he played for us," blah blah blah. Soon as his worst ever signing, blah blah blah, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
But
true.
yeah, it is true, mate.
There's a reason why, obviously, people, are starting to open up things again, and a lot of the ex-player nights are happening again, which is brilliant. And there's a reason why people want to go and see these people talk. The stories haven't changed. The stories haven't changed. Macca's still going to go and talk about him jumping on a float with Julian around Chadwell Heath. We know that story's happening, or going to Luton and the chairman slapped him on the back and he told him to fuck off and all that stuff. But you go back and watch it because they're relatable. He was your idol. Dev could do that.
Yeah. See, a lot of the older players, I'm nothing against them. To me, they were a football player. They did a good job for us and they moved on. Hey, good luck to them doing shows and stuff as ex-football players, and youngsters do like I don't get that same buzz out of it, to be honest. I don't know why, but with Devonshire, I could sit and listen to him, mate. I just sit, and because he was my idol, he was, he was my god, right? If he walked into church on a Sunday morning, I'd have been up there giving him hallelujah. He had the air for it, he was just, as a kid, he was just my absolute idol, and I've had idols over the years that I've met later and spoke to him fine, A funny one was Lemmy from Motorhead. When I always loved Motorhead, the rock band. Yeah. And when I was a kid, I loved Motorhead and whatever, and he was my hero. But then later in life, my mate, funny enough, got the job as the lead guitarist in Motorhead, and I ended up going all around the world on tour with him, sort of thing. And then he was just a normal bloke. He wasn't. He never. But when I met Devonshire in the car park, I should have got on my hands and knees. I was just starstruck, mate, and. Yeah, gobbledygook, and I just didn't know what to say. My son took the piss like he'd never known before.
I love it.
There we go. So Devonshire there.
Right. Devonshire. Okay, put Dev in.
Right. So the next one's got to be. Oh, you want to go over there? Tricky Trev.
Oh, I love it.
Love Tricky Trev. And then, but I was fortunate there. Tricky. I loved watching Tricky Trev. From his days in Blackpool, and I'll tell you what it was. I started being a bit of a football agent and whatever back in the day, and I had a player at Blackpool's in the squad with Tricky Trev, right? Sam Allardyce, funny enough, was the manager at the time, and so I used to get the stories from this lad of how good Tricky Trev was, and he's going to be magic, he's going to be this, he's going to be that, and obviously he was, right? What he could do with the football was immense, and then full life circle again. So he'd done all of what he'd done with West Ham and Di Canio and all that sort of stuff. And then I'm living then in Calbridge in South Wales, and he signs for Cardiff City. And then we lived out in the sticks, and he ended up living up the road. So every morning then, we go up to school and I'm showing off it, but we'd be in our Range Rovers. The reason I got to say about it being Range Rovers, the school was right up this country lane and parking was murder, right? So you had to get up there early to be able to park to get the kid out the motor to get him into the school and back out. So there was one little ditch sort of thing, a groove into the hedge that you could put 2 4x4s. And so it'd be always me and Tricky Trev racing in the morning to get to that bit of the edge. And then, of course, everybody would want us to back off, and he didn't have to go training for another hour or so. Yeah. I didn't really have to rush back, and we'd be sat there chatting football all the and all the mothers going, "Come on, we want to get our 4x4 in the edge," But so great player, mate, great player, and lovely, smashing fella as well.
Totally.
And then when I was living in Spain. There was this bloke in the bar, and he was giving it for a place called Coeen. And he was talking, my son does it, my son-in-law, sorry. My son-in-law this, my son-in-law that, and all this. But he was talking then about his grandchildren playing football. And one of them was called Sky. And I thought, hang on. So he wasn't name-dropping this bloke, right? Yeah. And I went, hey, you're Tricky, you must be Tricky Trev's father-in-law, right? He said, yeah, I am. How do you know that? And it's only because he mentioned the kid's name.
Yeah,
got it. So then, of course, I got to know him in Spain as well. So, yeah.
I love him. You're right.
He's good with the banter.
amazing.
He likes a bit of banter on Tricky as well.
He's brilliant. He's a lovely, lovely guy.
Yeah.
I've been very fortunate to become, WhatsApp friends. So, with him and that's just bizarre because he was one of my he's certain players who have, as you said, you and like Devonshire, for me, Sinclair, but not necessarily my passion with Sinclair. I mean, he was a fantastic player and I loved him. But my granddad, who passed many years ago, that was his player. And that reminds me, and things remind you of a time. So that reminds me of a time when we used to sit in the Centenary Upper front row. We had really good seats, bang in the middle. And to be honest, he shouldn't have driven. His eyesight, he was almost blind, but he drove every game to there, and he couldn't, and his eyesight was going, and so he'd always have the program and trying to. Anytime anything was done by a West Ham player who was black, who was good. Trevor Sinclair. Could have been Defoe, could have been Shaka, could have been Vivian Foe. Only bloody player on the pitch, that Sinclair. Bloody, and obviously, so there's always been that special relationship, me and Trevor Sinclair. And he's an absolute legend and a beautiful man. And as you said, and it's great because, you see his kid signed for Blackpool now, and I think he played against Man City the other day in the.
I'm not sure, mate, but I know
I think he did.
Is it Sky? Is it Sky the one who signed for Blackpool?
I'm pretty sure it's
Sky, they've got Sky. What was the other? The other. I can't think of his bloody name now. Begins with A. Sure, it does.
Yeah, something like that.
Anyway, no, but he's lovely, lovely mate, a lovely bloke, lovely wife, lovely family. Top bloke, mate. Top bloke.
Exactly.
Even though he used to beat me to the edge quite often.
Oh, I love it. And he's really good on TalkSport. I love him.
Yeah. To be honest, I'm not a big TalkSport fan, so I don't really hear it much. But,
me neither, but I like him, yes, Sky started again for Blackpool in a friendly against City 2 days ago.
Oh, there we are.
Good to see. Right, okay, we'll put Trevor on the right. Centre midfield, first midfielder.
Right, I'm going to go with Sir Trevor Brooking. Has to be my second cup final as a kid. I'd got a bit older. It was the first cup final I ever went on my own without me dad. My dad went to the game, but I went with my mates.
Yeah.
In them days, you seem to be able to do more at a younger age than they do today, don't they? Do you know what I mean? But I was too grown up by then, mate. I was I've been 14, 13, right? Too grown up to go with your dad to the football. Then when you make to go in. So, and of course, Sir Super Trev won us the cup with that fantastic header. So that made me, and of course, obviously a very happy man to win the FA Cup in 1980. I was a bit more grown up than I was in 75, so I could, should we say, celebrate a bit in different style, sneaking into the pubs and all the rest of it, as you did. Great memories, mate. And I was over the moon, and I thought my life had been made that night when we lifted the cup in 1980, and it was all down to obviously Brooking's header. But to watch him every time anyway at Upton Park, mate, he didn't run on the pitch. He floated, didn't he? To me, he floated.
Best players do.
Didn't matter how shit the pitch was, because they weren't like they were today. He floated across it. Him and Devonshire. Devonshire floated as well, but Brooking just had that stride. He had that aurora with him. And then in 82, I went, it was my first World Cup. And it reminds me, and I literally went with a pair of Union Jack shorts, a passport, a Union Jack flag, a two-man tent, and a Union Jack flip-flops, right? And we went to Spain, me and my mate. And, I'd have been 16 then, 16. And Brooking was injured all the way through the tournament, and I was gutted. And then we had to beat Spain in the last game it was. And Brooking and Keegan played their first game, and they came on as subs and lit the game up. But unfortunately, it was too late, and we didn't qualify. But Sir Trev, great bloke. What a gentleman, mate. A gentleman.
Yeah.
Whether you're on in the bookshop outside Upton Park, he'd be in there signing books before a game or whatever. He just gives time to everybody, doesn't he? He's probably what you'd call, he is a true gentleman.
Yeah. He's class.
Total class, mate. Total
on
class.
and off the pitch. And you're right. The best players are the ones that don't run; they float. And obviously, I never saw Trevor play. I wasn't fortunate enough to see him, and I know he didn't play for West Ham. But I remember watching Henry when Arsenal win their pomp at Upton Park, and he glided. He didn't run, and I didn't see his feet touch the floor. He was the best players in the world. Just do that. He just glide.
They glide, mate. They glide. They just float across that surface.
Yeah, and
I think he's one of the last loyal. Probably not the last, because we've got Nobes and that, haven't we? But the last of the older generation who stayed with the football club through thick and thin.
Yeah,
and never even probably considered moving clubs. And same with Bonzo as well.
True.
The game was different then. But like you say, just true gentlemen. And last time I seen him was only a couple of seasons back. Well, it would be a bit longer than that now, wouldn't it? But it was on Backing Road, and he was on the bookshop round the corner.
Yeah,
and he was in there signing a book, and he made sure the queue just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger outside the shop, because he's just giving everybody the time, Lovely man.
He is, and you're right. I think it's sort of like, by doing a lot of these shows and talking to a lot of ex-players and obviously fans of certain generations, the football has changed, and it's and I think though football's changed, I think sometimes our personality, our sort of perception of it as fans hasn't. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it is when you said, the whole thing with Declan Rice, or with Payet or Arnautovic, and you're thinking, these piss off. Or Jesse Lingard, a case in point. How everyone's changed their opinion on Jesse because he says, it's football is now a career. They're not there for a long time, and so they have to make as much money they want. And we think they should be loyal. In the same way, if someone offered me to do the same job I'm doing for twice the money, fucking off tomorrow. You know what I mean? Exactly. It's so true, but it is money, and I think it's a shame as well, because I think with money getting in the game, we talk about the ex-player nights and stuff like that, and you meet in the new and book shop and stuff like that. I don't think and I've said before, I don't think in 30 years' time I'm going to go to the Queen's in Hornchurch and see an evening with Sebastian Haller and Philippe hosted by Manuel Lanzini and Roberto. Yeah. It's not going to work. But it's football, and and fair play. The fact is, I always talk about when I used to live in Loughton in Essex, and that's where all the players live, because it was like 20 minutes away from Cadwell Heath, and Tottenham was about 20 minutes away. And I used to work in Safeways. And when I was young, and every Friday, if West Ham were at home, Shaka and Samasi Abu would go in to do their big shop.
Yeah,
and
big shop.
What? It's like brilliant. That was my highlight of the week. Shaka, and you don't get, I don't expect to see Manuel Lanzini popping into a co-op for a pint of milk now.
They still do, though, mate. They still do.
Some do.
Yeah, I know what it is. It's because you got older.
Yeah,
honestly, it's because you get older, and it doesn't seem the same, because they all still go to Tesco's, they all still do this and that, don't they?
Yeah,
but it's not the same as when you're a young kid. When they're your idols, absolute idols. If Devonshire had a bad game, for instance, I could never slag him off. He was still God.
No,
right?
No.
Whereas today, if Lanzini has back in, you bloody idiot. You know what I mean?
We are just getting old farts, isn't it? Right, we'll put Brooking in. Who's gonna partner in that central midfield?
Right, I'm gonna throw in one of the best passes of the football I think we've ever had. And I loved his hairdo, right? And it was another one with his hairdo that I wanted. Ian Bishop, mate.
Bish Bosh.
Bish, he just had the swagger, didn't he? I mean,
he
just wanted to be him. Yeah. And he had the swagger, he had the looks, he had the long hair, and he could pass a football. And he used to just make me buzz up when he got on the ball, and you see him on the tee. Great, Bish is playing, right? And and he, of course, he paired up with Morley brilliantly and all the rest of it, didn't he? But there was something about him, mate. It was just something about him. And another one who would be he's in my all-time happy 11. And he just gave me the buzz, mate, that one. And
I remember because we had Bish on, and I remember interviewing him because when I was a kid, I must have been 16, 17. But they don't do it anymore now on TV, but they used to do those sort of kids shows where they do sort of the candid camera things, like Beatles About type thing, but for kids.
Yeah.
And they set one up with my brother. And so it was in like, you know, I don't know, one presenter and basically hidden camera, and then he sort of barges into my brother's art class and go, "Hi Tom, you're a big West Ham fan." And then Bish was like, and he said, "Do you know who this is?" And Tom went, "It's Ian Bishop." And then we spent about 2 hours playing football, like in the on the tarmacs, you know, the baseball courts, which they turn into a football you know, for about 2 hours. And such a lovely boat. And I spoke to him about it. I said, "Do you remember it?" "Yeah, I fucking remember that. I was stuck behind a bush for like 3 hours because I got there early."
But he was a level-headed bloke, wasn't he?
So
you know, no airs and graces with him.
No.
Lovely fella. But for me, he had that swagger.
Yeah.
And probably had the rock star hairdo that made it. And I think he played a bit of guitar, if I remember rightly, as well.
He looks like a rocker now.
He still does. He looks even more. You could chuck him in any band now, couldn't you?
Yeah.
But and what a great football player. And I think he'd come to West Ham at the perfect time when we needed him as well, mate. You know, and what a great player. Great player, mate. Great player.
One of Macari's, wasn't it? One of Macari's.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, actually, he was. Luke Macari signed
He didn't do too bad. He got Ludo in, didn't he, as well? And various others. He did all right. And Morley. Right, so we put Bish in. Bish Bosh. Love Bish. And we're doing well because we've got Trevor in. He'll retweet it and like it. And so will Ian as well. So there we go. We're doing well.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Okay. Right, up front, who's your first striker?
Right. There's a lot of story. We could pick many, couldn't we? We could pick many. And this was my hardest bit, really, I think, because I love the McAvenny. He had the swagger again. He was the playboy. You know, I've always been a bit of what you call rough diamond, I suppose you call it. But he was all that. He had the page-free birds and he had the blonde hair, but he didn't make it in there in the end. I went for, and don't get sorry, Macca, if you are watching, you made me a very happy man many times, mate. And TC and Paul Goddard and all the rest of them. But it took me ages to pick, and I had to think about it, right? And I've gone for, and he only played for us for one season, right? But Carlos Tevez, right?
Yeah.
Now, what happened with Tevez for me, where it made me happy? First of all, we were shit at the time, right? And my son and Tevez had signed, and Mascherano had signed. Pardew was obviously manager at the time, and my son was just getting into watching West Ham properly. You know, he's about 5 years old. And we're out in Florida, and we're playing Tottenham, right? So I'm teaching him all. It's Tottenham this weekend, son. We're in America. I brought your kit. Don't worry. I brought your shirt. We get down to Boozer, go and watch the game. We find it with on the tally. Oh, brilliant, brilliant. And we had won games, and my son was getting a bit despondent. And he kept up now, son. Come on, keep the faith, you know. I don't want you going back to school and someone persuading you to be a Man City fan or something. Anyway, so we went into this bar in just out in Florida, just outside of Orlando. And Haines City. That was at Haines City. And we go in the bar, and couldn't believe it. I see your football on in there, mate. And yeah, West Ham game. It was at 10 o'clock in the morning or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And so I ordered up breakfast pint, you know. So, and then I'm tweaking, my son's going, "Dan, have you noticed something?" I said, "No, what's that?" "They're all in to watch a football, yeah. They're all Tottenham fans, right?" Oh, bloody hell, and he'd clocked it more than I had, you know. And anyway, of course, it was the time when he takes the free kick, didn't he?
Yeah.
The free kick, right? And I said, he's going to score his son. And I was just doing it to G him up, right? We're in this, son, we're in this, you know. And he pinged it over the wall and in the back of the net. And I just erupted in this bar. And then all the Tottenham fans realised we're West Ham and whatever. Yeah, my son's there for only football. He must be about 5. Had to be about 5. And then, of course, the crowd dive and all that, wasn't it? And it just made it.
Amazing.
And then, of course, we went further ahead. Obviously, we lost in the M3 too. But we walked out that pub. Still happy, though, if you're not. We still actually walked out happy, even though we'd lost. At least we put a shift in. We put a performance in. And my son was gutted that we'd lost, but he was happy with the way we'd played. And Tevez became his hero. So that was the first bit. And then we had to obviously beat Man United at the end of the season. And then I couldn't get out of going. Right, I had to go to Cuba, right, on business. And there's the last place I needed to be was in Cuba for the West Ham Man United Will We Stay Up game. My son was back home in Wales, in Cardiff. And he's on there. Of course, we got the internet by it now, That made things a lot easier. But it's pretty still basic in Cuba.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I had a great week with, I told Raul Castro, it was in the same hotel. We were staying in the hotel in the suites. And next door to us, we had the Chinese defense minister. Right? Of course, all the time zones are out as well.
Yeah.
So the lad, my business partner who was sharing his room with, we've been out all night having a few, as you do. It was on the last day of the Cuban trip. And we had the Chinese defense minister next door. He was staying there. And also in the hotel was Raul Castro, Fidel's brother. And the first man in space, you weren't allowed to look at him. Always remember, you weren't allowed to stare at him for some reason. Who was Cuban, first man in space. And it was this big meeting anyway. And there was us, me and my mate, right, on the top floor. And so I'd take my laptop with me so I could get the commentary on the laptop, right? Couldn't get a picture. Wi-Fi wasn't good enough. Even though we're in this nice hotel, it's still basic. And I could get the volume for the, for the wireless, if you want to call it. And it's crackling in. Tevez, he scored! I've gone ballistic in the room, right? Security are knocking the door because they had armed guard outside for the Chinese defense minister, right? So he's out, armed guard are there with a shoot. There's his West Ham nutcase bouncing on the fence and up, and Tevez has scored. Of course, it was quite early on the game. So I always remember, over the moon with that, we had the security check and all that, and then we had, we were due at the airport. It was the day we went home. So I got the airport and I'm getting on a mobile, and the mobile signal from Cuba was terrible. To find out, and because I've lost my Wi-Fi now because moving down, so I don't know what's going on in the game. I'm relying on text messages from mates that are coming through an hour later, And anyway, obviously the joy of realising that we won 1-0 and the final whistle had gone, and celebrating with me mate and me son over the phone, and hit the bar in the Cuban airport, and I just flew home a happy man. Do you know what I mean?
Oh.
And I love Tevez. I know he was only there for a season, mate, but he was another one who gave everything, didn't he?
Yeah.
He would run down everything. He would chase everything down, and he's done it all his career, isn't he? And I always hoped that he'd one day come back, because I think he really enjoyed his time at West Ham, and money obviously gets involved, and of course it was the dodgy transfer and all the rest of it, blah blah blah. But I just prayed that one day after Man City and that he'd come back to West Ham. It was never to be, so that was a shame. But no, he was a one-season hero who brought immense happiness.
And that whole season. I mean, there's a guy called Daniel Hurley. He's written a whole book about that season, The Greatest Escape. And because it was just such a the whole season was just really weird, like really strange season, obviously behind and in front of, on the pitch and off the pitch, so to speak. And it's funny, but I remember we interviewed, I think it was Anton. And was it Anton? Yeah, it may have been. And Anton was saying that Carlos never really got what it was to be a West Ham, got West Ham until that goal, Tottenham goal. Then he knew what it was all about. But never learnt a word of English. Took his translator everywhere, including the nightclubs in London. With his teammates. I can imagine him sort of doing some Argentinian tango on the dance floor. Sweating buckets and sort of trying to communicate to Anton via the translator. He's probably just there, looking a bit. But, love it. It was love it. Yeah. Such a lovely.
I was gutted because I was supplying a furniture company up in Manchester when he was playing for Man City, and he actually furnished his flat. But I went up to see him, and he'd just come back. Well, I say just come back a week beforehand. So I went in the shop, having a chat, talking business, and that. Then obviously business and football always go together. So it's the language of the world, isn't it? So. I was talking to this bloke anyway, and he said he was a Man City. He said, Tevez is flat, scruffy bugger. He said he's a scruffy kid. I said, is he? He said, well, yeah, we'd had to do his whole flat. We'd done the carpets, we'd done the wardrobes, this, isn't it? I said, oh, bloody hell. So he'd been here a week ago, he'd have come with us. You know what I mean? Another we're gone, But Yeah.
Some
But,
pictures.
yeah.
But yeah.
But
Right,
no, he was a
right.
one-season hero for me. But it made me happy for my son for the
Yeah.
staying up. My son would have been devastated at the time of that age that we got relegated. Do you know what I mean? And so no, brilliant, mate. Fantastic.
And it is. It's like one season. To be perfectly honest, maybe only like 10 games or something. He really took, because he chased everything down, but to his detriment, I think. Until I think Curbs basically said, "No, you stay up there." A bit like what Moyes did with Arnautovic.
Yeah.
You stay up there, and then he was a different player, absolutely different player. Then, right, Carlitos is in. Right, one more spot.
One more spot,
Jonathan
mate.
Caleri now.
Say again.
Jonathan Caleri.
Right, I'm going to give you a clue. No, it's not it. Go on, then you have a guess who it is. And I'll put a photo up. It's to do with why he makes me so happy, one of the parts, right? But it's not him in the photo, right?
Okay.
Right, so let's see if we can find this for you. Hang on.
All right, okay.
I prepared this earlier for you.
Oh, you come prepared. I like that.
All right. Well, this is when I was teaching Gianfranco Zola how to play football.
Yeah.
Right?
I'll have to put an 18 plus on this now.
Yeah. That's in the dressing room at Swindon, right?
Nice.
So, but when I went out, I actually what the story was a player that I looked after retired through injury, and Poirier and Wise at the time had been managers at Swindon before Di Canio's time. Anyway, Di Canio's the player.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, I forgot to say that bit, didn't I?
I guessed it.
Right. Let's get off because that looks silly now. I look young there. Look at my hair there. My rock star hair is growing there, mate. Look.
I like it.
Well, I was about 40, I think. 47. Got to be 15 years ago now. That anyway. Let's just get rid of that bit because it's embarrassing. Right, but I'll go back to where's that bloody picture? That's the right. Hang on. I've lost my
That's going to be one of those slideshows, like it's like you how did that get in there?
Yeah. Right, but Di Canio for many reasons, right?
Yeah.
First, the Swindon experience. What happened with Swindon, which is after, but he was Swindon manager then, right? I was looking after a player who had an injury. The testimonial was Chelsea versus a Swindon 11, right? So the player at the time, Christian Roberts and Di Canio were in that dugout, right? I was in the other dugout. I was the sub for Chelsea, right? So we had everyone there. We had obviously, and Zola was the West Ham manager at the time.
Yeah.
And our side we had Kevin Keane, who nearly made it in. Would have made it if it wasn't for Dev, he would have made it into the side, right?
Funny story about Kevin Keane. His carpool person at West Ham, Martin Allen.
Really?
Imagine two of them weird,
Yeah, I know. I wonder about that.
They'd go all the way around the M25 every day for training. Anyway, carry on. Sorry.
Yeah, but yeah. So Kevin Keane was always a bit of a childhood hero, and he was playing. He was the assistant manager to Zola at the time when he at West Ham. So they'd come down to play, and the rest was Chelsea. We had Dennis Wise, we had Poirier. I come on for Poirier in the second half, right? Graham Lasso. I'm trying to think. Was it Ken Moncur? Was it Dimitri in goal?
Yeah,
they had a full show. Clive Walker was in the side, and then, but anyway, Di Canio was there then, and it was a funny thing with that game as well because my mate came with me, right? Who I was in business with, and still am, and Paul his name is, and I was the sub. Right? I'm on the subs bench. My son's the mascot. Oh, George, all he wanted to do was meet Zola, right?
Yeah.
And come in the dress and meet Zola manager at the time. So anyway, we go over to McDonald's, right? He said, well, you can't have nothing now, Day. You're sub, he said. You're sub, right? And he said, you're going to have a light meal. I said, sod it, I'm having a burger. I'm starving, right? So I had a burger and a thick shake. And I said, I'm not on to the second half. I won't be on to the second half. I'll be all right. It'll be the last 5 minutes, so don't worry.
Yeah.
Right? Anyway, one of the subs, I can't remember who it was, but didn't turn up. So a lad comes in and says, oh, so-and-so's not turning up. I said, oh, don't worry. No, I'm waiting for my mate to get through the great big double Mac and everything. And too thick. He's scoffed it, right? I said, his nickname's Moj. Moja come in, sticking down his number 14, right? So he stick him on the team. He only got a pair of boots with him, so he has to borrow a pair of boots. Anyway, And Di Canio was just. He was with us, so I forgot. He was in the Wimpy across the road with us, and we're just having he was just a great bloke. And all I wanted to do was talk to him about when he played for West Ham.
Yeah.
So that made me happy. But when he played for West Ham as well, he was tremendous, wasn't he? He was just...
Class above.
You know, the best thing that ever happened to West Ham was Di Canio pushed that referee over.
Yeah.
Because we'd have never got him.
No.
And I don't think there's words to describe Di Canio.
No.
He's Mr. West Ham, and he's his suits, his ties, his tattoos, everything, mate. You know, and he's just legendary, absolutely legendary. And what he could do with a football was
it's amazing. But in the same way that you said, you know, the best thing that happened to West Ham was him to push over the referee. I think the best thing to happen to Paolo Di Canio was pushing over a referee.
And that as well, both ways.
Because, you know, in all honesty, if he was still, and I've said this before, if he was still at Sheffield Wednesday, him and Carbone, they were good players. But moving to West Ham, if you list Premier League greats, he's in that list with Omri and Bergkamp. He wouldn't have been in it necessarily at Sheffield Wednesday. And I think there's sort of a bit of a, you know, yin and yang thing there going on. Yeah, it's great for us, but it benefited him so much. And he was just
eccentric. When he was Swindon manager, he subbed the goalkeeper after 20 minutes and things like that, you know? Oh, dear.
I mean, we had, I think, I can't remember who we spoke to. I think it was John Joe Hoyneman, and it must be John Joe. And he got invited to Swindon by Paolo to a game and to meet him afterwards, obviously all the work he did for the Bobby Moore Foundation and stuff like that. And they went back to his office and he opened up and basically in his office, in the county ground, he's got his big desk, pulls open, like you can barely get this drawer open, but it's stuffed full of clippings and photos of his time at West Ham. And it's going through. It's like, oh my God, going through all these things. It's like in Swindon, you know, just like, but yeah.
But when I played, anyway, come on just after half time in that game.
Yeah.
And I replaced Poirier, right? I always remember the Tannoy man, right? And off comes Gus Poirier and coming on Steve Day from... You could hear someone whispering in my... just say Yeovil Town. Yeovil Town! Right? And the kids were coming up to me going, but there's sticker books. And they're going, well, who are you? I was going, you didn't do sticker books in my day.
We just did tapestries.
Yeah. But the funny bit then, my mate who I'd stitched up, who's all burgered up, right? And in his borrowed pair of boots, he's blind as a bat without his glasses on. They throw him on his right back, right? And Zola's on the pitch. And we went 3-0 up. Zola, to play football with Zola was just something else, mate. It was just hell of an experience, right? And I was in awe. I was absolutely... Graham Lasso was far better than I thought he ever was as well, mine. But brilliant. And I always remember there was about a crowd of about 8,000 there because all these big-name Chelsea players.
Of course, yeah.
And Wisey pings the ball out to me, and I'm on goal. I'm going for glory now. And fucking Wisey, and it's the back of my heels. So I turned round. Fucking Di Canio was laughing at this because it wasn't far from the dugout, right? And I turned round and I went, Wisey, what the fucking hell was that? and Wisey was looking. Who the fuck are you to shout at me on the football pitch?
I'm from Yeovil Town, don't you know?
It was just a brilliant time. Anyway, so I come off in the bar afterwards and we were all having, you know, charity, so a few beers are being sunk. And Dr. Canio goes, Steve, he said, what do you think of playing with Javanko? I said, yeah, fantastic, Paolo. It's a hell of an experience, mate. It's one I'll never forget. He said, the midget's fucking shit. You want to play with me? And he was fucking serious. And I never did get to play with him, mate. He said, you went to play me. The midget is fucking shit compared to me. He's going on. I had tears of my son. God, my son's fucking crying. All the heroes of his in this room. I mean, arguing. Who's going to play with me?
It's all right. It's all right.
Everything just make you laugh. Canio was always, with this being my happy team, is one of his football skills.
Yeah.
Everything made me laugh with him. Everything he done just made you laugh, didn't it? When he caught the ball, in the time, come on, we want to fucking score. He's catching the ball. Fucking hell.
When you say the word Paolo, you get named Paolo Di Canio, you smile.
Yeah,
exactly. Everyone smiles because you just think.
The manager's not long back. Everyone was just shouting Paolo Di Canio.
Yeah.
It'd have probably never been up to the grade, I doubt, but it would have just been brilliant, wouldn't it? You can imagine every pre-match speech, every pre-match conference. It would have been fucking hilarious.
I would not. Yeah. Oh god. I'd probably employ him as like a cheerleader rather than rather than I'll give him the flag. He can do the flag thing. That's how close I get into the football stuff. I'd love him. I love him.
Oh, no,
I mean, same as you. I mean, you got tattoos. Anyone who's got a West Ham tattoo, I think, is my ultimate respect for, because I'm very needle phobic, and particularly for Paolo as well. To be, not a fan, but then still. There's a couple of people we've interviewed. Sebastian Schemmel's got a West Ham tattoo, and stuff like that. And it just. And sometimes, and actually, Di Canio and Tevez, very similar. They're not from round these parts, but they just clicked. And I don't know whether it's the Italian and the Argentinian sort of like aggression or passion, and the West Ham and the East End sort of, it just works. Yeah. Sometimes it doesn't always work, like Payet didn't, he was brilliant, but he never really connected on a character level.
A character level, no, he didn't, did he? You're right there. More modern day again, I suppose, as the years go on now, they're more performers, should we say it, than football players. Like, you know what I mean? They're more exhibitionists now.
I think they're more, and it's not a slight on anyone from an older generation, but I think it's more clinical. It's not professional is the wrong word, but it's more. It's an athlete. It's a sport, isn't it now?
Yeah.
And I think now, we pay our money to be entertained, and when we get, and I think now you get those few and far between. Like someone like Grealish, he's an entertainer.
Yeah.
But because he puts his head above the parapet a bit, everyone calls him an arrogant sod and nasty.
Yeah. It's a hairband, isn't it? It's the hairband.
But it's one of those things. It's like I could imagine if Paolo had long hair and Tevez wore a hairband.
Yeah, he had a hairband, mate. We loved him. My son. That's the only time his son's ever worn a hairband. He played in I took his team up for his 10th birthday, and we played in a tournament on Upton Park. Out of season. George Parris was in charge of it all and all that, and it's brilliant. I'm coaching my team now, and I'm still getting emotional because I'm coaching on Upton Park.
Yeah, of course you are.
And my son, he came out woke up in the morning, all his hair greased back with his hairband on. Where did that come from? Tevez used to wear his
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Right, so here's the team. Where's the team? There it is. There we go. What a team.
Would have won a few trophies, that team as well, I reckon.
No worries at all. No worries at all. Strong back, strong back four. That's the one. Nice midfield. I think it's good, man. Lovely stuff. Lovely stuff. Steve, man, it's been an absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure.
It's a pleasure to be on, mate. Now I'm a YouTuber.
Now you're a YouTuber. The day's banter. We'll put a link in the description below. Come on the road to 200.
Yeah. I think I've got 150 subs now. But my mate who started 12 months ago, Browner, you probably watch football. I've got to catch him up. He's always worked for me, and now it's the other way around.
You've got to think the West Ham fraternity community compared to the Cardiff community. Surely, we should be.
Well, we should catch up.
You've got Jake up to 1,500, wherever it is now.
Yeah, that do me 1,000 to do me. I'll tell you why. Just because Jake spent so much money on my credit card number at Amazon. I have this gear to it because he's my technical man. Now he's 14, right? So I bought he said, you need a green screen, Daya. I said, what's a green screen? Well, you can put pictures up behind you. Yeah. Or have one of them. So I went on Amazon, bought one for 24 quid. You strap it on the back of your chair. It might look like you had wings, right?
Yes, I've seen them.
Yeah, but it don't work because every time you move the chair, it all flops over. Oh, let me get you one, he said. Right? I said, right, get order one up. 139 quid. Pulls up straight up the back out the back of the thing.
Nice.
You don't look the part, he said. Why is that? He told me off. I had it on the show today. There we are. The microphone. So I said, well, you've got a microphone. How much was that? He said, 20 quid. I'll pick you one on Amazon, he said. Another 130. He's buying me what he would like.
He's the one. Because he'll message me. He says, Russ, I like your microphone, Russ. I told him how much it is. I said, but you can't just plug one of these into the computer. You need an interface and you need Oh, okay.
So that was a bit of fun. So I've loved every minute. I've been going 3 weeks. I've got 150. I'm coming up to 150 subs. I think I'm on 148 before we come on. And not that I'm addicted to watching now, of course.
But it's fun. But honestly, I still do it. First, maybe not every day now, but the first thing I used to do was go in and go to my studio and see how many subs I've got.
You do, don't you? You do. But no, I enjoy it anyway. It's a bit of fun. So if I get to 1,000, no, they want 1,000. So I start earning a couple of 20 pence here and 20 pence there. To start paying off the cost of taking cocks. Bless him. He's a lovely lad, and I think he goes places. Him actually. How he runs his show. He just turned 40 now.
It does take a lot. I mean, that's what I think. I think people are for it's relatively easy to do like what we're doing, just you and me just chatting. But obviously bringing on new guests, and it does take a lot to do. And
it's hard work, and it's easy for me. I find it hard work, and I'm just pissing about, really, to be honest. But go on. If nothing on the box, I'll go and turn on now. Put the day's banter show on. We'll all go down the pub, sort of thing, and everybody piles in, has a beer, and has a bit of a banter in that. But he does it. Well, it's like with Brownie. I say, Brownie, you've got the most unprofessional show on YouTube. Even I can do better than that. But then you've got the true pro, Jake. But yeah, he's doing fantastic. And it was good to help him in the beginning. I like that. You got someone as enthusiastic as that, right?
Yeah.
And to be honest, if I'm truthful, my son's 22 now, Georgie. My grandson's not old enough yet to really understand. He's only 2, coming up to 3. So he's not quite into the football bit yet. He knows he's got to support West Ham, but he's not in. It doesn't get excited when they come on the telly yet, you know. And so, Jake is like my adopted son now. the one that grew up, you've got back, So he supports West Ham. He's good for a laugh, of course. And he's a lovely lad. He's a lovely, lovely lad. And fair play, he took me out the other Monday for a steak and chips.
I heard.
Yeah. So I had to buy him his pudding, right? And I was trying to teach him how to chat a few waitresses up, and he was getting a bit shy.
Well, he's 14, isn't it now? So
he's that age, isn't he? And he's very clever at switching the subject very quickly. You watch him. But no, he's a lovely, lovely lad. So to help him out, he said, could you get me a couple of players and this and that? And I'll see what I can do, Jen. I've got him a few on them or whatever from the past and that. But I've noticed him, even through YouTube, doing what he's done, come out of his shell. Definitely. If you know what I mean. Like he had a show the other night with me, Peach, and all the other ones. Where there's one that Peachy got arrested on, wasn't it? Right. And before he'd have been really nervous about everyone sort of doing what they were doing. Now they're sat as one of the lads going with the flow, which is great. And
but that's exactly how it is. You get, as you said, it's like for some people they start off and Christ, I don't really watch my videos, but if I went back and watched the first one a year ago to now, it's totally different because you just get confident in it, what to say.
The other thing, Russ, I think in life now, kids spend too much time. They're growing up totally different the way we do. Well, we didn't have computers and stuff like that.
No.
But I notice it when we interview people with a business and that, right? Kids of the day, a lot of kids have no personality about them anymore. They come in, they got all the credentials on the CV. You call them in for the job, and they got no people skills. They got no common sense, no people skills. So I think, and a lot of that is all to do with being on a computer. Right, but where football forums, for instance, is all keyboard, just like Twitter. I can't stand Twitter; that really winds me up. That one, right? But keep the forums; they can hide who they are and they can say their bit about football. They live within themselves. Yeah. But I think the YouTube inside of it actually allows the younger people to bring themselves out. It does take a bit to get in front of the microphone and. Suddenly you're on YouTube and you're on live and the world can be watching you. And I think and I've noticed it with Tufty up in Geordie fan up in Newcastle. He's only 18. Great lad. Needs to sort of saving it. His eyebrow looks like it's come down for a drink every 2 days. But he's really come out of himself. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And he would just before he'd be on and he'd just sit on shows and watch him. And I think it does the lads good. Thinking there's that
particularly
little
now, because you can't see anyone, can you? You can't meet anyone, so it's a way of communicating with people. Although as I said before, we're so isolated, so to speak, we've never been more connected. I think in terms of Jake might message me, or I'll go message Anton on Stair on Irons United, or Peach sends me a 25-minute voicemail message. Or do you know what? I've started to put him. It's my new thing, and I keep forgetting to turn it off. But when Peach phones me and leaves me a voice message, I put it on 1.5 times, and it just gets to the point a bit quicker.
Oh, dog, what's going down?
Yeah. Anyway, how you doing? What are you having for lunch? Bye. But like someone like Peach,
football is about characters, mate. And all this YouTube and you can get together with the characters you probably don't meet down the pub anymore.
No,
you know?
No.
I'm just trying to get my microphone back over Jake in my talent area. He'd be upset by technical man if I don't get my microphone on.
Exactly.
But it's a crack, mate, isn't it? It's
fun,
it's
good fun.
Yeah,
it's good fun. And then also, you talk about Twitter and stuff like that, and obviously people can only get their point across in 140 characters. Where if people start a YouTube channel, then they can express their thoughts and wishes, and people can come and talk.
People read wrongly. Something I've noticed all over the years.
Yeah, you can't intonate.
And one of the offices we got 2 offices. This is going back, crikey, probably 10, 15 years ago this happened. I mean, text message along with that, text messages, obviously. And I got 2 members of staff in 2 different offices next door to each other. Right, only youngsters, they must have been 21, 22, something like that. And I walked in and went in there having a row. I said, what are you rowing with? Oh, Emma. Well, she's next door. What are you rowing with her for? Well, she just sent me this text. I said, well, where was she when she sent you that text then? Well, next door. I said, why don't you just get up and go and see each other? And all it was, because they'd misread the first text, which then turned into an argument. You with me? Because you read text differently to how it can be said, can't you?
Yeah.
It's like, it's me saying let's say I was calling you, let's say a wanker. You fucking wanker.
Yeah.
I mean, I really think you're a wanker. Oh, shut up, you wanker. Do you know what I mean? It's like 2 totally different contexts. But you can't read that, can you?
No. You're totally right. It's all about how things. I think it just gives people a platform to talk about stuff in more detail, and you can read. We can understand. As you said, it's all about intonation. It's like my wife with texts and emails, and she'll read it in a different way that I read it in a different way.
Yeah,
it's like, but she's already got a preconceived view of what she's saying. Of what she's going to have the arse of her already. But actually, if you read it from a neutral perspective, it could mean 10 different things in terms of the actual wording. But
anyway, seeing the youngsters on YouTube is a lot better than seeing them on football forums and FIFA Manager and all that crap. So
exactly.
Yeah.
And on that bombshell, from myself and from Steve, take care.
My first impression.
Watch those ads. Come on, you eyes. We'll see you.
Come
on, you eyes.
Take care. Give us some numbers
in the description below. Don't forget.